My name is Daniel Downie. I am a comedian and a tour guide here in Edinburgh. I've lived in Edinburgh for the last 10 years. I'm from the Highlands originally. I've recently set up a company called Mountebank Tours, with the idea being that I take guests, visitors to the city and locals as well, on comedy tours around the streets of Edinburgh's Old Town. Best thing about what I do is giving them some historical background to what is an absolutely incredible city. Edinburgh Old Town is built on what is an extinct volcano. Castle Hill was basically essentially the erupting volcano, and then the lava flow goes down to where Holyrood Palace is at the bottom. So that stretch is called the Royal Mile. Everything has then just kind of grown out from its original medieval heart. So when we talk about the Old Town, we're really talking about the heart and soul of Edinburgh. So here we are in Edinburgh's bustling Old Town. I'm going to show you guys some of my favourite spots. So we're now walking into Parliament Square. This used to be the spot where Scottish Parliaments would take place. So in the middle of Parliament Square is a statue of Charles II. Now this is actually the oldest equestrian statue in Britain. It's good luck when you walk past to rub the statue of David Hume. If you see this man here rubbing his toe, it's going to give you a wee bit of his knowledge. The things that I really love about the Old Town is it gets really crazy, it gets really busy in these streets, but at all points you feel like you can just duck down an alleyway. You can find yourself in a wee adventure. So this is the spot where J.K. Rowling wrote the first of the Harry Potter books. And J.K. Rowling actually took a lot of the names for the characters from the Harry Potter books from the tombstones here in Greyfriars Kirkyard. But 150 years before J.K. Rowling was taking names from Edinburgh tombstones, a man by the name of Charles Dickens was doing the same thing. And here in Victoria's Terrace, we're about to get a really good view of the school that inspired Hogwarts, George Heriot's school from the 17th century. Now today it's a private school, but in keeping with the wishes of George Heriot, the school accepts foundationers, which essentially means that they have places for orphan kids in the school every single school year. We're about to go into St Giles Cathedral, very, very historic church here in Edinburgh. There's been a church at this spot in Edinburgh since around the 12th century, and one of Edinburgh's best kept secrets is the view from the top of the steeple, which we're going to check out. First mention of it is in the 12th century, so it's one of Edinburgh's oldest buildings. And St Giles himself is the patron saint of the wounded. We can see right out to St Marys Cathedral. Obviously incredible view of the castle. And of course, the famous Arthur's Seat. One of the things I would definitely recommend if you're visiting Old Town Edinburgh is to find a vantage point. Try and get up high like this. Let's have a little look at some of the workings of the bell tower in St Giles. Well, that'll be 2:15 then. When you think Scotland, you think bagpipes. So I'm here at Kilberry Bagpipes, an independent bagpipe makers here in Edinburgh. I'm intrigued to see how I'm going to get on, so here we go.
So the basic setup of the Highland bagpipes. So you have your 3 drones and then the chanter here. So the chanter produces the tune and the drones produce the harmonics. And then obviously this is all connected by the bag.
Yay! Well done. Right, now my turn. Let's go, right. Alright, I'm out. Yep. And situated right next to Kilberry Bagpipes is Nicholson Kilt Makers.
3 sections to the kilt: front apron, an under apron, and then there's the pleated section in the middle. So to start off, you work out from the sizing how big your aprons are going to be. 6 yards gets folded into pleats. Handmade kilt is always built so that it can be altered, so that it can last you your lifetime.
Well, it's beautiful. So Toby, if you don't mind, could you just take us through some of the kilts?
This is a black watch. This is a military black watch.
Very familiar.
Which is the
Scotland.
most popular one. This one here is the hunting shirt, and this one here is the Edinburgh University. We designed it for Edinburgh University.
Oh wow!
So you can only get it in this shop.
Ta-da! Thanks very much, mate.
You're
it's a good
welcome,
education.
buddy,
We really enjoyed it. And aye, Nicholson's Kilt Makers for all your traditional Highland wear. Edinburgh's very much a city of contrast. We've seen the beautiful side of it with its historic old buildings. Now it's time to get into that dark, seedy underbelly. So here we are on a ghost tour. So Sam, obviously this is one of the most haunted parts of the city here in Edinburgh. Just give us an idea of of what went on?
There's a lot to suggest that the body snatchers would use these spaces. We believe that this once upon a time would have been a tunnel that just keeps going right down to the sort of Cowgate's bed itself.
Okay.
So it's quite likely that body snatchers would have used this if they needed somewhere to sort of transport their corpses in the dark, you know. This is considered the most haunted room. Weirdest thing that ever happened in this room was there was a lassie about 10 years ago, and she's just stood in that corner listening away, and then she just starts to kind of freak out, and then she just goes running out of nowhere, like screaming. The guide caught up with her. He found her sort of huddled in a corner, and it turns out she'd just been listening to the guide, and then she suddenly feels this breathing on the side of her face. And suddenly this thing starts speaking to her, and it just in a very quiet voice just starts saying, "Get out, get out." But it is certainly not a room that I would ever choose to hang out in.
So it's getting into the evening time here in Edinburgh's Old Town. We're about to go into the Witchery, which is one of the most iconic restaurants here in Edinburgh's Old Town, situated right in the shadow of Edinburgh Castle. Walking into the Witchery, you get a feeling that it's a proper occasion. It's a special night out. It's not just a run-of-the-mill meal. You know that you're engaging in something quite unique and quite special. So the Witchery's decor is very much in keeping with the history of Edinburgh's Old Town. So when you look around, you get a sense of the history, the connection with the castle, obviously being right underneath the castle. I've actually ordered their seafood platter. It's a bit of a speciality here. I think I'm going to be a busy boy here. It looks absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. This is very, very tasty. Seafood and champagne. Pretty good end to a phenomenal day here in Edinburgh's Old Town, so cheers. By far and away our biggest export here in Scotland is whisky. We export over 3 billion bottles every single year. That works out about 38 bottles per second. So any good night here in Edinburgh should definitely be topped off with a wee dram. So I'm going to take you to one of my favourite whisky bars. Here at the Whisky Bar on the Old Town in the Royal Mile. We're going to have a few wee drams. Let's go in. Scotland's got lots of different whisky regions, range from the Highlands to Speyside whiskies, Lowland whiskies, Campbellton whiskies and Islay whiskies. So hopefully we'll get a chance to try a few here. Slàinte mhath.